Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you for the territory of the signatories of Treaty 7, and I'd like to acknowledge the Métis people who share a deep connection and history with this land. Earlier this afternoon, the government announced that most Albertans will see a $50 rebate on their July electricity bill, the first of 3 rebates. This is pretty much the definition of too little, too late. It's been more than 3 months since Travis Toews promised them, and even more since they were needed. That's months of punishing bills that have soared by hundreds of dollars above what Albertans paid last year. Why are bills skyrocketing like this? Because Travis Toews and the UCP removed the rate cap we put in place. They deliberately removed protection for Alberta families, even while the price of everything was spiking. This month, families will get $50 back. Now, that's not nothing, but for most people, it doesn't even put a dent in electricity bills that have soared by hundreds of dollars, let alone the cost the UCP has piled on to Alberta families. The UCP still hasn't gotten their act together on natural gas rebates, which they promised back as far as February. Meanwhile, Alberta families are paying more for everything. $1 billion more in income taxes, more on property taxes, more in tuition, student loan interest, camping, and car insurance. All thanks to the UCP. I'm pleased that the government has extended the pause on the gas tax, which I called on them to do more than 2 weeks ago. Many Alberta families are struggling to buy food, to pay their rent or their mortgage, to cover their bills. Back in March, I proposed legislation that would have protected Alberta families from having their power bills shut off during these times of high bills. The UCP blocked that legislation from even being debated. The UCP is okay with Alberta families being forced to choose between putting food on the table and keeping the lights on. $50 isn't going to solve that problem. Thank you, and I'm happy to take your questions.
Okay, we'll go to questions on the line. Just a reminder to use the raise hand function if you're joining by Zoom, and *9 if you're joining by phone. And first caller, your line is open.
Hi, Kathleen. It's Lisa Johnson calling from the Edmonton Journal. I just wanted to apologize when you commented before on now Finance Minister Jason Nixon has called on Ottawa to obviously remove the federal fuel tax and the carbon taxes. Can you tell me more on that? I mean, if affordability is the most important thing right now, why isn't the NDP following suit with that call? What's your stance on that?
Well, I do absolutely believe that affordability is the most important thing right now. And I believe that there are many, many things this UCP government could be doing right now. They could put the cap back on insurance. They could put the cap back on electricity. They could get their natural gas rebates out the door. They could get their electricity rebates out the door, and perhaps even more so than they've currently done. They could fund post-secondary so that tuition doesn't increase. They could stop taking that extra percentage on tuition on student loans. They could stop cutting MSI and forcing everybody's property taxes up. And so there is an enormous amount that we as provincial elected representatives could be doing for the people of Alberta right now. And it's nothing but a cheap political ploy to point to another level of government.
Did you have a follow-up there, Lisa?
No, I think that's good. I mean, I wonder though, like, what are your reasonings? What's your reasoning behind not wanting the federal fuel tax and carbon taxes to be removed? I mean, one thing to say it's a political step. What is informing your stance here?
What's informing my stance here is that the Supreme Court has been very clear about who has jurisdiction. Jason Kenney and his entire cabinet decided to turn over the way that the carbon tax works to the federal government. That's fine. They are in government. It was their decision. I don't think it was a wise decision, but it was their decision. And now we see them, instead of doing the 10 things I just listed that were within their power to help Albertans, they're just pointing at another level of government. And I think it's a cheap political ploy, and I think they should focus on what they can do. It's meant to distract Albertans, and I don't think it's working.
Okay, next question goes to Dylan Short.
Yeah, you answered this in your last response to Lisa there, but I just want you spoke a lot about what's not done. What typically would the NDP government do differently that's not being done at the moment?
What would an NDP government, sorry, you cut out a little, I'm just going to repeat it to make sure I got it. What would an NDP government do differently?
Correct, yeah.
So I think I've mentioned several things. For one thing, we would fund post-secondary adequately so that we wouldn't see skyrocketing tuition. We wouldn't be doing that $1 billion income tax hike that the UCP has done by sort of de-indexing the brackets. We would re-index AISH and seniors benefits that would give those who have the very least their ability to pay those costs back. We would repeal the camping fees in Kananaskis that are hitting families hard. We would look at a larger rebate on electricity or potentially reinstituting the rate cap. We would also look at putting the cap back on car insurance because that's something that has spiked after the UCP removed that cap. So I think there's many things that we would look at doing.
Follow up there, Dylan?
Nope, I think I'm good as well. Thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, we'll do one more quick pass for questions on the line. And seeing none, that's all for today.
Perfect. Thanks.
Much for watching, and to learn more, check out albertasfuture.ca.